Okay, YouTube. We got the updates. They found the car in Tennessee. And that's to be expected because, it only take a couple hours to get to Tennessee from Alabama, depending on where you're sitting at, right? So why would they go the opposite direction? They're probably on their way to Canada or somewhere or some kind of rural area in the mountains or something. You know what I say? They headed Midwest. But that's where they headed. They up north somewhere. Let's check this out.
They ditched that getaway car hours after leaving Florence, and more than that, and more importantly than that, more time that investigators didn't know they were even missing before they started putting out those reports about a missing car. That didn't happen until earlier this week. So a large head start. That, of course, still a big factor in this search and why we're now on day 8 and still investigators.
So how they don't do like how they do background checks and they check your background in every state. What is it called? I don't know, like cross state or something. I don't know, whatever. But if they got a manhunt for a prisoner or a jailmate, whatever you want to call it, don't you think they would have contacted like all the police forces throughout the states, somebody to be on the lookout? Like, or do people not watch the news no more? Okay.
No closer to finding Casey and Vicky White. The sheriff did share some pictures of that orange edge. They attempted to spray paint it. He called it a hack job. It appears after making that about 2 hours away from Florence or so, the car was ditched. They said that they probably had some sort of mechanical problems. The sheriff saying that area very rural, and within hours, a tow company was called to come remove that vehicle. They towed it off to a lot, and that's where it sat until last night when someone put 2 and 2 together and authorities here were called. So again, not clear how the pair left once they ditched that car, if they got a ride with someone, if they took off on foot. But those weapons they believe to have right now, those have not been found. They're still considered extremely armed and dangerous.
The car was towed on Friday. That bulletin went out, if I'm not mistaken, Tuesday morning. So, there again, that's about a 4-day delay. And I'm sure at some point in time, a light went off in this guy's head, and he thought, wait a minute, I mean, they tow a lot of cars.
Vicky White bought that car that they were used in the getaway within.
I think Vicky White made connections along the way before. She's a police officer. How many people she might have been in connection with? They could pull some strings for her as she went along her route. You know what I say? You got stupid people out there that help people with shit like that, right? You know what I'm saying? And we all know that some, people high up in titles and shit, be fake as fuck. You know what I say? So unprofessional, right? You know what I say? So maybe, just maybe, they left that car there because that's a distraction, right? To get them to go a different direction. Y'all thinking that they probably, in Tennessee, and then they had another car waiting. She probably already maybe took a couple of days off way back and drove the car there, or had somebody she bought the car from and told them leave it there and she'd be there to come pick it up at this time on this date. Because I mean, she planned everything else already. So why is it not possible that she had another car waiting on her instead of them hijacking another car or something, right? Well, not another, but hijacking a car, right? I believe that, she probably had another car waiting. They got out that car, left that car, made it look like it was in distress and shit, you know what I say? And that to throw the peoples off. Come on now. She was the assistant director.
a few days or so of this escape, used a different identity to purchase it, used that alias, and it's believed that Casey White and Vicky White may still be using different names, identifications. So right now, law enforcement officials up in Tennessee are continuing their search of that area, trying to track down any witnesses that may have seen the two in the area. But again, they have several days head start since they ditched that car, so it's not clear if they're still in that area. Investigators still working to figure that out right now. That is the latest from Lauderdale County. Matt Kroschel, Way 31 News.
The breaking news on the search for a missing Alabama inmate and a corrections officer who authorities they helped him escape. A major clue uncovered in the multi-state manhunt for Casey and Vicky White. The orange Ford Edge they were believed to be traveling in has been discovered in Tennessee, but the wanted duo is still on the run right now. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Etten is live in Florence, Alabama, where the pair was last seen. And Brian, the sheriff gave an update on their whereabouts not too long ago. What did we learn?
Yeah, Rudabeh, this just gets wilder and wilder. A big development. The SUV that Casey and Vicky White were traveling in has now been located, but the sheriff says he still believes that they could be long gone. Take a look. This is that Ford Edge SUV. We're in Florence, Alabama. It was discovered about 2 hours from where we are across the state lines in Tennessee. You can see part of it actually has spray paint on it, and the sheriff says he believes that Vicky and Casey were trying to disguise the car and change the color of it. They believe that they abandoned the car because it broke down, because it was sort of left in plain sight in this rural area. And get this, Rudabeh, this is sort of mind-boggling. They actually say the car was first discovered about a week ago. It was towed to a lot, but it was not until today that investigators in Tennessee put the pieces together and realized that this is the car that has been the focus of this manhunt. Also new today, the sheriff confirmed that
a week ago. Right. Like, it seemed like I said, it seemed like they would have put that out everywhere to look out for this car, not just on the news, but to the people like the tow truck drivers, you know what I see, anybody that was a part of, law enforcement, or they can impound the car, whatever, you know what I say. It seemed like they would have already been on the lookout for this. Well, all of a sudden, a whole week later, and it's found abandoned. And it's been sitting there for a whole week. Come on now, people. If she ain't pulling no strings along the way, then she got me for it.
that he does believe that Vicky White and inmate Casey White were, in fact, in a romantic relationship. And he says he believes this was all planned and very calculated.
I think that her knowledge of corrections and her knowledge of the procedures that we use here in the sheriff's office on transport most definitely played to her advantage. I think this was a very well thought out plan.
Okay, so where do things stand right now? Well, the sheriff says they're not sure if they fled on foot once that SUV broke down, or perhaps they even stole another car. They're looking into all of it. But again, what's sort of just stunning at this point is after a week of searching, it appears right now that law enforcement is back at square one when it comes to looking for this couple. Rudabeh?
That is important to know, because we know we're not looking for that particular vehicle anymore. So how did it take them a week to realize that this was the car that was their car and that it was abandoned?
Good question.
Well, that's a very good question, and I believe there's a lot of frustration among law enforcement, especially here in Alabama, that it did take a week, because apparently about a week ago, this car was called in Tennessee because it was abandoned. Someone called it in. It was towed to the tow yard. The be on the lookout for this Ford Edge has been everywhere, all over the country, especially in this region. So it's sort of shocking that it took until today for law enforcement to put these pieces together.
And I know you've been on the ground reporting, talking to a lot of people. What have we learned about Vicky White? Because it seems some people are surprised by this, but others not so much. Yeah,
for the most part, people say that this comes as a shock. She worked at at the sheriff's office for almost 2 decades. She was second in command in the jail. We talked to inmates who were in the jail who said she was very polite. They could go to her with problems. But what's very interesting is we've been investigating, Rudabeh, what Vicky was up to in the days leading up to this manhunt when she fled with Casey White. And she was doing all sorts of stuff around town. She went to a Kohl's department store where there are reports that she actually bought men's clothing. She was at an adult store. And perhaps most interestingly, she sold her house.
Oh, that was interesting. She was at a dog store. Or at the D1 gonna be good enough for you or something, or he like a little butt plug. Okay, don't do that, miss. Don't do that.
Just in the days leading up to this whole plan, and she sold it for $90,000. And we confirmed today that she went to the bank, several different banks, and was able to take that money out. So she has at least $90,000 in cash right now, Rudabeh.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more.
See? I know it. You know what I say? Always some fuck shit going on. That lady is connected. And we all know that. There's no way you can make all those moves that fast. Okay.